You remember when a terrible comment was left on your video? It was me, Barry. I was the terrible comment. Barry, do you remember when you were born? It was me, Barry. I am your father. Remember that time Iris left you and you were so lonely you were giving money to Twitch thoughts? It was me, Barry. I was the one you simped for on Twitch. Barry, do you remember the time that you left the pizza in the oven for too long? It was your own fault that time, Barry. Do you remember the time that you met the girl of your dreams, Barry? You got married, made love under the stairs, adopted a child, but then she left you without a word or reason? It was me, Barry. I pretended to be a woman for 5 years just to make you fall in love with me and break your heart. Barry, do you remember when you were about to propose to that girl in high school, but she told you she was pregnant with another man's baby? It was me, Barry. I was the baby. Barry, do you remember that time you studied hard for a test and still got an F? It was me, Barry. I was the teacher. Barry, do you remember the time your father said he was going to buy some milk and never returned? It was me, Barry. I was the milk. Barry, do you remember the time you stubbed your toe on the couch? It was me, Barry. I was the couch. Barry, you know how your parents named you Barry? It was me, Barry. In a nanosecond, I went up to your parents' ears and whispered your name, which gave your parents the idea to name you Barry. Remember when you thought you took the chicken out of the freezer, but when your mom got home it was still in the freezer, so you got your ass beat? It was me, Barry. I put the chicken back in the freezer. Barry, you remember that time someone reposted your Tumblr meme on Reddit and got more likes than you? It was me, Barry. I'm the meme stealer. Do you remember that time you posted a Minecraft video on YouTube and it got 33,000 dislikes? It was me, Barry. I created 33,000 different accounts just to dislike the video. Remember that time you were trying to make pizza rolls but they never cooked properly? It was me, Barry. I kept changing out the pizza rolls so they would always be cold when you took them out. Barry, do you remember when you were 12 and accidentally dropped your lunch tray and everyone laughed? It was me, Barry. I was the lunch tray. Barry, do you remember that time I kicked your ass and told you my goals are beyond your understanding? It was me, Barry. I was the goals. Remember when you were trying to play an online game with your best friend and it kept lagging on your end? It was me, Barry. I messed with the Wi-Fi at super speed, so it seems like he was lag switching you, so you unfriended him. Remember that time the lightning bolt that gave you powers and how it zapped you in the nuts? It was me, Barry. I redirected the lightning to zap your nuts. Barry, do you remember that time you opened a cola only for it to fizz all over you? It was me, Barry. In the nanosecond before you opened it, I shook it like I shook your baby. Wait, remember when you got in that freak steamroller accident, Barry? You thought it was Zoom, but it was me, Dio! Remember when someone killed you in Among Us a few days ago, Barry? It was me. I'm Kid Toucher 69. Barry, remember when you wanted to post your own "it was me, Barry" comment, but the moment before you posted it, you saw that someone had already posted a comment similar to me? It was me, Barry. I posted the comment. Remember that time in your junior high school, principal beat you up because he thought you were sleeping with his wife and daughter? It was me, Barry. I was the one who recorded the video of you being beaten up, which in result, your principal being fired. Turns out he didn't even have a wife and daughter. Barry, do you remember that time when you stubbed your toe on the table? It was me, Barry. I moved the table at supersonic speed, so your foot went near it. Barry, do you remember when you were sitting down on the piano bench for your 5th grade recital and you fell backwards because the piano bench moved? It was me, Barry. I was the piano bench. Barry, do you remember that time when your father was staying up till 1 o'clock a.m. and you had to pee, but you were just so afraid to go to the restroom because it was school night? It was me, Barry. I was your father. Barry, do you remember that time you failed your math class because the dog peed on your homework? It was me, Barry. I peed on your homework. Barry, do you remember that time Nightwing became Rick Grayson because he got amnesia from being shot in the head? It was me, Barry. I was Rick Grayson. Remember that time you had an important assignment to turn in, but the dog wolfed it down? It was me, Barry. I ate your homework. Remember that time you tried to eat the last slice of pizza and you had to go to the restroom, but after that, the last slice was gone? It was me, Barry. I was the one who took the last slice of pizza. Barry, remember that time you were eating fast food with your family? You were going to enjoy the one extra long french fry you saved for last, but all of a sudden it disappeared? It was me, Barry. I went back in time and drove the potatoes into extinction just as you reached for it.